time for final thoughts and a sincere thank you to Rachel Maddow. I really do want to take a moment to thank her, assuming she has chosen her as the acceptable pronoun. See, last night, Rachel Maddow demonstrated how excessive bitterness could actually cause a person to help the very president she hates oh so much. Last night, Maddow dropped a real bombshell, in case you missed it.
What I have here is a copy of Donald Trump's tax returns. We have his federal tax return for 1 year for 2005. I believe this is the only set of the president's federal taxes that reporters have ever gotten a hold of. What we have are these 2 pages, front and back, from the same 1040 form that you might have filled out when you file your taxes. And in terms of what's on here, let me give you the basics. Aside from the numbers being large, these pages are straightforward. He paid $38 million, looks like $38 million in taxes. He took a big write-down of $103 million. More on that later. If you add up the lines for income, he made more than $150 million in that year. Mazel tov.
Wow, cue the applause. Rachel, you broke some major news with that, like the fact that President Donald Trump, the man you've spent 2 years demonizing for his wealth, paid a higher tax rate than the sham network that employs you. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. He paid a higher tax rate than your anointed family, the Obamas. He paid more than your socialist icon, Bernie Sanders, a higher rate than Mitt Romney, and yes, more than MSNBC Comcast. Owing to those like Bernie Sanders who have built a political career on a utopia of socialism and demonizing the wealthy, here's a little lesson in economics. Rich people create jobs. Rich people fund your precious entitlements. Rich people pay a hell of a lot more in taxes than most Americans make in 10 lifetimes. And yes, rich people pay their fair freaking share. Actually, as a matter of fact, the average effective income tax rate for all U.S. households in 2005 was just 8.8%. That means Trump's tax rate was nearly triple that of the average American household. Oh, but it gets better. Thanks to Maddow, we now know how generous President Trump truly is. The average effective rate for the top 1% of income earners in 2005 was 19.7%, several points lower than the 25% rate Trump appears to have paid. Again, thanks to Maddow for getting this out there. So what do we learn from all of this? Well, we learned Maddow and MSNBC are willing to illegally leak tax documents in an effort to torpedo the president, but it turns out all we learned is that our president is a baller, a rich baller who made a crap ton of money and, yes, paid a crap ton in taxes. That's called a big league, not so secret, and Maddow must be sweating in her mannish pantsuit today because she looked like a jackass. And because leftist whack jobs can never admit they're wrong, they have now come out in force with claims that President Trump himself may have leaked his own documents. Can y'all ever just own your crap? Will you ever get over this anti-Trump stick? What you're doing is not news. You're embarrassing yourselves. Those are my final thoughts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tomi Lahren. And from Dallas, God bless and take care.
All right, since President Trump's election night victory, many liberals living in blue states are losing sleep to what they call Trump-induced insomnia.
They're blaming Trump for it?
Yes, Yahoo News tracked down these victims to ask about their dreams.
Susan Rogers, a poet from California, said she was hurtling through space with no direction on a plane that she discovers with horror has no pilot.
Oh, boy. And if you thought that was weird, Leah Grover, a Chicago writer, has spent more than one night calculating where in her home she would build fake walls behind which to hide immigrants facing deportation. Here is how these people can get over this problem because he is our president. We have the world's only irritational speaker and pit bull of personal development, Larry Winget. I'm sorry I got irrational and irritational confused. Now I'm going to be sleepless tonight.
Irritational. Listen, these poor, poor babies. We've got Barbara Streisand who eats pancakes and gains weight. Lena Dunham can't eat it all and loses weight. And now we have all these people who can't sleep. Evidently, they've never dealt with any disappointment in their life. They've never had anyone die, never lost a job. Their team never lost. And they have no concept of what the rest of us are pretty familiar with, of get over it and move on. Poor little buttercup, suck it up.
Okay, you know, Sandra Bullock also could have invoked that dream sequence because, remember, in Gravity, she was hurtling through space. How about this dream? Lindsay Steinman, a consumer researcher, was told by an OBGYN to consider meditation after she complained of stress and poor sleep from trying to work full-time, raise a family, and bringing down a fascist regime at the same time. What about someone with that thick things to do list?
You know, the sad thing is that these people's families are going to suffer. If they're in the public eye, their customers are going to suffer. We're going to suffer. And so this sort of has a domino effect, and it reaches over into people's lives, all because they're not able to take control. And what's most interesting to me about all of this is they don't want Donald Trump in power, yet they have given Donald Trump power over their sleep. Doesn't make any sense to me. Take back your personal power.
Good point. Yeah, they preach about tolerance, and if you go to those protests, they want you to be tolerant. They want to be tolerant, and that's what they preach. They want to love everybody unless they disagree with you. Do you think they'll ever come around and give the president a chance?
You know, it's not just about the president. It's sort of this societal problem that we need to stop indulging all these weaklings and make them, force them to deal with the consequences of life in general, not just life as the result of an election, but life when you lose. And we're not letting people experience loss so they don't actually know how to deal with loss. They have this entitlement that everything should always go their way, and if it doesn't go their way, they get to play the victim. And they get to say, I can't sleep, I can't eat, and then we let them by with it.
There you go. Larry Winget, life is very easy if you're Larry Winget. Thanks so much. There's a right way and a wrong way and a direct way. Thanks, Larry.